Steve Evans, it's been a couple of weeks since we last caught up. First of all, how have you been, and have you been able to enjoy a little bit of a break from the football?
No break. We've been at it every day, to be fair, myself and Leon, and the good thing is, you know, there's been no sign of Rains, there's been no sign of Alex, there's been no sign of players. Those guys can go into the break, and it's my job as the manager or head coach, whatever your title is, and to work hard and getting the players in. So we've had lots of meetings. I've had lots of meetings. I've been up and down the country from top to bottom of this. I've been in Scotland. That was a quick flight up and a quick flight back to talk to someone. So we're working really hard, and we're trying to work smart as well. But we're just trying to ensure that we have a competitive squad come the start of the season, and that's pretty tough, as everyone knows, in a tough league, especially with also if you add in the teams that got relegated and the teams that will just miss out. We know two of them that just missed out: Northampton and Swindon, and of course it'll be Port Vale and Mansfield at the weekend. So real tough.
And just a brief word on the end of the season. Obviously a fantastic win against Salford, and you couldn't really complain with the outcome of the last 9 games where you were here for Stevenage.
Really proud of what the players achieved. You know, I think I know when I first sat down with the chairman and the board, I think their thoughts was we're going to get relegated, and if you're the chairman, you've put a manager in and you've changed the manager, and the one thing you can't do is change the personnel. So he made the tough decision. It would have been a tough decision, I'm sure, to change Tiz and bring myself in, but we just had a different style, different way of working. Thankfully the players bought into that, the experienced boys especially, and I met with everyone at the end of the season, as you know, and I couldn't be more grateful and thankful to them, because without their input, without their courage, without their determination to bounce, we had 1 or 2 poor results in that 8 or 9 games, but we had some really good performances and some fantastic results too. Now
on to the ins and outs. Let's start with the outs. Most notably, skipper Scott Cuthbert. How difficult of a conversation was that to have with him?
Oh, tough, very tough. I think it was a 2-way conversation. All I was painting a picture to the skipper was that he's been automatic. And given what's here, he should be automatic as well, by the way. He should have been first name in the sheet, and he was with me as well. He was brilliant, he was courageous, he was good to work with. I think he'll be going to be a coach or a manager. I think he's got good opinions about the game. When we spoke about players and systems, we meant the same way. I think at Scott's age in his career, he wanted to know, I'm a main man, I'm playing, I'm going to be on the sheet. And given who we've signed and who we're trying to sign, I couldn't give him that assurance. And it was pretty amicable in the end, but it was a tough. 3 or 4 of them were really tough. There was a number of them that were easier because they couldn't force themselves into the team. And I think the overriding decisions, when I took a lot of counsel on it, a lot of advice, a lot of backdated DVD work and looking at videos and clips and all sorts, was, you know, for 4 or 5 years now, the club's been in that bottom 4 or 5, almost relegated on a couple of occasions. If I'm being honest, the chairman deserved more than that. More importantly, I've always said to every chairman I work for, the most important people is never them, and it's never managers, it's the supporters. Supporters deserve better than that. And I can't promise anything other than we'll be better than that. So whether we're good enough to force ourselves towards that top group, the next 3 weeks will determine that, because if we get our recruitment right, that will happen. If we don't, that won't happen.
And also, along the likes of Ben Coker, Luke Prosser, Chris Lyons, Charlie Carter, there's a lot of experienced players and a lot of leaders leaving as well.
You know, and when you break them down as human beings, you know, a lot of good guys in there. Ben Coker, and I was told when I joined he was out for the season, and he was in my office within 2 days saying I think I could play, and he played through the pain barrier. Ben, he was brilliant at the end of the season. There was no sign of any injuries then, but our first 2 or 3 games he was determined just to go put the Stevenage shirt on and get there and play for the cause and play for the team, and he did that. But a lot of other lads, you know, you look at the Brad Barrys and you know, Charlie, and listen, I could go through 80%. Luke Prosser, you know, brilliant professional. I could go through that group for a while, individually break them down, and probably 90% of them are, you know, it's tough conversations, but we have to change something. If something is continually not working, there is a saying a genius compared to me, who said if you keep doing the same things and you keep doing them and getting them wrong, then it's a form of insanity. There's a lot of people said that's the case for me, but it was, I just took my own counsel, went away and thought about it carefully for the 2 days and took the opinions, of course, of Paul and the opinions of Alex and others. 1 or 2 opinions of supporters, just like me throwing a question, who would you keep, who you wouldn't? And it's interesting. I think we were all thinking more or less the same thing, apart from 1 or 2, and we know who that 1 or 2 is, you mentioned them.
And now on to the ins, getting them done nice and early this season. Let's start off with Michael Bostwick. What were your thoughts about re-signing him?
Absolutely no-brainer. It was, I thought Michael was outstanding for us. It's a big comment to say if one player hadn't played for us in that spell, we may not be in the Football League. And that wouldn't be the goals of Luke Norris, who was brilliant for us in that run-in. But I think even the dressing room knew that Michael Bostwick played a huge part. And he'll play a huge part going forward. Whether we can get 46 games will remain. But Michael's, he's a big character. He's a big character in the dressing room. He's not a talker. He's not a baller. He leads by example. But I spoke to 3 or 4 managers after games in that run-in, and they all mentioned one person, Michael Bostwick. How good he was, how committed he was, how passionate he was, how he used his nickname Bozzy, how he bossed the games. So Michael's going to come in and we're going to work hard, and if he works hard and plays a lot of games, he'll earn the money that he should earn.
And the next one, Aaron Chapman, a player you've signed for 3rd time now.
Yeah, I mean Chappie's, I first come across Chappie when he was away back at Chesterfield, and then he went to Accrington, and listen, he was sensational for John Coleman. He was in the Team of the Year. I went from Peterborough from a higher level and recruited him in. He was in the team that was top of the league in League One. And as all keepers do, goalkeepers make a mistake, and he was in and out a bit, but that happens. But Aaron's a big character. I took him to Gillingham. And then we signed a boy that Stevenage fans know very well, and Jamie Cumming. And Jamie, who's just finished the season at MK Dons, was brilliant for me, Gillingham. And Aaron just couldn't shake him out. Aaron came in cup games, come in the Papa John's. He was outstanding. But Jamie Cumming was just the clear number 1 for me. And so Chappie missed out a bit in that. But it was a conversation we chat at the end of the season, just do with all players and just a catch up. And we agreed to meet for a coffee. And he says, I'm really determined to be a number 1. He's going to get competition soon. And he knows that. But we'll get him impeccably fit the way we did at Peterborough. And Aaron's a big boy, 6'6", 6'7", commanding character, massive in the dressing room. And it was great to meet up with him and have a coffee. The banter was flying. He was hammering my shirts. I told him I think I wore the shirt. I told him I was in support of Ukraine, and he said there's only you could say that buying a shirt like that. So he's I'm sure he'll do very well. The fans will like him. And
Karl Robinson, obviously from Oldham, previously of Salford, he looks like captain material.
Well, he'll be a contender for sure, won't he? The one thing about Karl is he's the only man I know that's ever played against 11 players and won a game. And he did with Oldham, because we probably made 10, 12 chances and that, and this fella was heading them off the line, heading them off his nozzles and kicking them off his toes. But that's not the only game. Karl has been outstanding for a while. People have recognised it. At no stage in the meetings did I think Karl's going to sign for us. At no stage. But I had one card to play. He's a Peterborough boy. I've lived in the city for 30 years, almost 30 years. He knows a lot of people I know. Her family own a little restaurant up there. He goes in there regularly with his family, so we offered a bit of a discount going forward. But no, I didn't think it was going to happen because of the competition. But we met 2 or 3 times, and I kept talking to him and how he could have a great couple of years here and take this club back to where they were under chairman not so long ago, fighting for the playoffs in League One. So, and I was absolutely delighted when Karl rang me early one morning and said, listen, I can't not continue not to sleep to make a decision. I want to come and play for you. And that's nicely as a manager, but of course playing for me means playing for Stevenage.
And Danny Rose scored a lot of goals for you at Mansfield Town.
Yeah, he was brilliant for me at Mansfield. Actually, he was in the office at Peterborough United to sign for a fee close to £500,000. That's the fact the contract was there, and Mansfield Town pulled the deal at that last second. So Danny Rose literally was getting handed a pen to sign, And Barry Fry received a call from, it was either the chairman or Callan at Mansfield to say no, the manager didn't want it to go through, so it didn't. But Danny was brilliant at Mansfield. He got a bit of a raw reception when he went and played there recently in the playoffs. Not as raw as I got, but he got a raw reception. But listen, they remember him scoring goals and being happy for him. And I think over time, that's what people recognise.
So when you bring these new players in, what are the key characteristics you're really looking for?
I think without a shadow of a doubt, commitment, effort, desire, willing to work hard. They're the minimum characteristics. It's quite interesting. In my pro licence, I spent a lot of time with some of the world's best coaches, and they're speaking to world-class players, Alfie, and they're just saying to them, work hard today. Work hard today. I've been privileged. I've sat in the dressing room in Bundesliga, top league games. Is like the little fly on the wall documentary thing, and I've sat there, and they've got the interpreter who's telling me what's going on, and the coaches are saying we work hard today, we work smart today, we win our individual battles. So they're the characteristics. Like we're never going to be at Stevenage signing the best players in the league because the resources don't dictate that. But we're going to be competitive in who we sign. And if you look at who's just got promoted from the various leagues, if you take Sunderland out of the equation, probably the guys that's got promoted, Rotherham's just come back to the Championship. Tony Stewart's a best friend of my family's. They're not the best players. They're good players, but not the best. So it's not always about who pays the most. It's about individuals making up a team, and the team is what gets you through. And that team includes players, staff, supporters, the chairman, everyone. There's when you come together, it's called football. It's a ball, and there's no big chief in there. There's no Phil Wallace. Yeah, he owns the club. He writes the checks. He calls the final tune. But you know what? He manages in a way that everyone embraces it, and we embrace it here at the training ground.
And moving on to pre-season, starts in around a month's time. I think we all thought we would end up in a tour of sunny Scotland rather than Jersey, but we're all looking forward to that.
Listen, I was absolutely gobsmacked when the chairman approved for me to go to Scotland. When I got to Scotland, we normally win promotion. It's Crawley and Rotherham now. And but we were looking at Scotland, but actually the leagues in Scotland start really early because of the cup. So they were playing games in that early part of July when we were just getting into the throes of pre-season. So that ruled us out. And then I just spoke to chairman, could we go away for that, 4 or 5 days, just to, it would be principally a bit of a few older boys in a new group. There'll be a new group, new ethos, new team, new environment. So we're going off to Jersey for a few days, which will be good. And I'll try and convince him, he doesn't know it yet, to get another couple of days away later in July. But we've got a fantastic pre-season. I think our supporters will see some teams come here that will really challenge us. And we're looking forward to that as well. And I think that's all going to be announced by yourself next week, sometime.
And finally, July 30th, first game of the season, Gillingham away.
Oh,
what do you reckon?
Oh, I tell you what, I've got nothing. There's nothing I could say bad about Gillingham, the people in it. They received me like one of them. They're fantastic people, fantastic supporters. Got behind the team, marking. Listen, I never got the chance when I left to applaud them. If it's received by them the way it's meant for me, then when I go back with Stevenage, I'll applaud them. They're really good people. Of course, I'd want to win, they know that, and they'll want to win, and I know that, but it doesn't stop my respect for them, that's for sure. And listen, on that last day, I wanted a draw Rotherham Gillingham. I wanted a draw, but I wanted the results to say Rotherham went up because of Tony, and I wanted the results to say Gillingham stayed up, but it never happened. And I think our ground staff have just decided to be drilling outside my window.
That's great. Thank you, Gaffer.
Thank you.